Hey there everybody, it's Lynnea. I'm going to show you how to create a very easy interactive card using Whimsy Stamps products. I have a new stamp set here. This is the Aussie Friends stamp set. And then I have two die sets that are from previous releases. The Quilted Rainbow Inlaid die set was released maybe a month or two ago. And then the Kinetic Straight Basics die set has been around for a while, but it is so easy to use and so fun to make an interactive card. So let's start by making a background for my interactive card. I wanted to kind of mimic a grassy ground and then some blue in the sky. So I'm going to just take some oxide inks and blend them onto a piece of watercolor cardstock. I'm using watercolor cardstock because I find that blends the inks together better. And then also I'm going to be using that Quilted Rainbow Inlaid die set. And because watercolor cardstock is thicker than traditional cardstock, it's going to show the stitch detail better. So I'm going to take this inner piece from the Quilted Rainbow Inlaid die set, and I'm going to die cut this as well as that outer scalloped frame together. And I get this fun little scalloped background piece here, and you can see all those stitched rainbows in the center. Okay, so now let's move on and stamp and color some images for our card. This is the brand new Aussie Friends stamp set, and I'll just be stamping two images as well as a sentiment. I'm stamping the kangaroo and the wombat. So let's start here by coloring the wombat. So honestly, I wasn't sure what color to make this little guy, and so I quickly Googled and I decided to color him with some warm grays. Some were kind of warm gray and some seemed to be more cool gray, but when I'm coloring critters I prefer to use the warm grays because I feel like they look cuddlier when they're in the warm grays. So I'm going to be using a bunch of warm gray markers, and I showed you all those markers in a little handful at the very beginning, so feel free to screenshot that if you're looking for color references. But all I did was start with my darkest, and then I blended out with a medium color, and then a second medium, and then my lightest. For his nose, I thought that I would do a pink nose, but I really didn't like it, so I just colored over it with a darker warm gray marker. I ended up using the W7 and W5 for his nose. For the kangaroo, I'm going to be coloring in some earth browns, but very light earth browns, so they're going to still have that yellowy brown color. I'm using the same coloring techniques as I did on the wombat. I'm going to start with the darkest and then color with a medium and then a light. And I have the same colors for the mom and for the baby, except for the little baby in the pocket, I will omit my darkest color. I'll omit the E55. That way you have a slight differentiation in color, but you can still tell that they belong to the same color family and they're clearly the same colorings. I did end up using R00 for the inner of the ear and for the noses on the kangaroos. I thought the pink looked better with that earth brown than it did with the warm gray. Okay, I'm going to now start on my interactive card. I'm going to use the Kinetic Straight Basics die set. The idea behind my card is to have the kangaroo moving from left to right to go over and kind of say hi to the little wombat over there on the left. You can have either one of these little characters moving, it totally doesn't matter. I just decided to do the kangaroo. I'm going to select the track that I thought fit the best, and then I'll secure that with some tape and die cut that from my background panel. This track is going to be the moving mechanism for where the little kangaroo is going to move. I'm also going to die cut the two circles from some white cardstock. It doesn't matter which color cardstock you use here, it's not going to be seen. I do want to mention that I'm going to keep that negative oval piece of the track so that I can puzzle piece that in later and you won't see the white background of the card. So here's where I'm just going to temporarily, I have that background piece positioned on my card base, and I will just pop in that background piece of the slider track, and that way that bright white card base won't show through and it will be less obvious that I have a slider mechanism hiding here. Now it's time to build upon this slider track. So I took one of those circle discs and placed it centered behind the track that I die cut. I'm going to trim down a piece of a foam square and place that on top. If you want to have a circle foam piece, you can, and the kangaroo will spin as well as slide. But I wanted her to remain straight and just slide. So that's why I cut a piece of rectangular foam tape. I'll put the second disc on top of that, and then you have that little sliding disc, and you can add your sliding image on top of that. Doesn't matter where. I positioned the slider disc all the way at the end, and then I kind of lined up the kangaroo so that I could make sure that she wouldn't hang off the card too much when she was slid all the way over to the right. And now you can see that sliding left to right. Isn't that so cute and so fun? I'm going to position my card panel on top of my card base, and there you can see that that slider track kind of ends up hiding. You want to make sure that you add foam tape behind your background panel to make sure that it's popped up so that slider mechanism can slide. You also want to make sure that you don't interfere your foam tape with the mechanism, so see how I kind of have that around the mechanism and not on top of it. I'm using double thick foam tape. I find that this helps a lot, being able to move better than just having a single layer of foam tape, so that's why I'm using my double thick foam tape here. Then I'm just going to pop that panel piece on top, and you can see that kangaroo sliding left and right. I'll add my sentiment, and then for one last step, sometimes paper on paper creates a lot of friction. So I like to take my anti-static powder tool and just stick that little nose tip end into there and get a little bit of powder in there. And then when you slide that slider mechanism back and forth, you're going to notice the friction is less, and now it can easily slide left and right. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to use the Kinetic Straight Basics dies to create a simple slider card. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye! Thank you again very much for watching this video. If you liked this video and you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button that is on the screen now. And here are a few other videos that I thought you might enjoy.